eventually got married and had a couple of children. Jeffrey's marriage sadly did not last, and in the year 1998, he was in the middle of getting a divorce. In November of the year 1998, Jeffrey began a crime spree that lasted about a year and a half. Jeffrey began robbing various businesses across 9 different states in the U.S. While Jeffrey sometimes would rob video rental stores or grocery stores, he more often than not chose to rob fast food chains, specifically various McDonald's stores all across America. Over the months, Jeffrey settled into a routine, and he was able to steal over $100,000. Jeffrey would usually stake out a McDonald's location and observe and plan his attack in the same way each time. After observing for a while, Jeffrey would drill and saw his way through the roof of the McDonald's, and during the night, or very, very early in the morning, Jeffrey would enter the building. Once inside, Jeffrey would drop from the ceiling and threaten employees. He would steal the cash and lock the employees in the walk-in fridge if available and take off. While Jeffrey did have a firearm and threatened the employees, he never really hurt any of the employees besides one time when he pistol whipped an employee across the face. Most employees who were robbed by Jeffrey told the police that he was extremely kind and even seemed apologetic towards them. Now, before locking the employees in the freezers, Jeffrey would often tell them to grab their coats so they would not get too cold. Most of Jeffrey's crimes were identical to one another. A lot of McDonald's were laid out the exact same way and kept the same schedules, so it was easy for Jeffrey to rob one after the other once he figured out the basic schedule and plan and layout for the McDonald's. Now, at the time, authorities knew that these robberies were most likely committed by the same person. However, they did not know that Jeffrey was the robber. Jeffrey at the time was simply known as the Roof Man or the Rooftop Robber. During one of Jeffrey's first robberies, he broke into a McDonald's and did not even realize that it was closed for Thanksgiving when he broke in. Jeffrey was almost caught by the authorities on several different locations and times, but he always managed to get away. On May the 20th in the year 2000, however, things changed when Jeffrey was caught by the police as he tried to rob 2 different McDonald's locations within the same day. Earlier in the morning, Jeffrey robbed a McDonald's outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Then later, Jeffrey robbed a McDonald's in Belmont, North Carolina, which is also just outside of Charlotte. At this McDonald's, a silent alarm was hit by an employee just over 4 years, and during this time, while he seemed like a model prisoner, he was observing and trying to find a way to escape from prison. Jeffrey ended up creating a plywood platform that he attached to the undercarriage of an outgoing truck, and he managed to escape prison on June the 15th in the year 1990. also had a lot of baby monitors in this new room to help keep track if anyone got on or suspected that he was there. Now, prior to completing the Toys R Us robbery, Jeffrey stole a gun in order to prepare. On December the 26th, still in the year 2004, Jeffrey attempted to rob the Toys R Us store. Jeffrey woke up and robbed the store. However, 2 employees managed to escape and alert authorities of the robbery taking place. Even though the authorities did not find Jeffrey, they did manage to several days later. It was not even that same day, but several days later, they found his secret lodgings located next door in the abandoned Circuit City. While the police did suspect Jeffrey of this crime, they were unsure of this at the time, and Jeffrey wasn't sure if the police knew it was him. However, he had gone to see a dentist to have some dental work done that was located in the area, and Jeffrey burned down the dentist's office, thinking that the police would be able to find him based on his dental records. After this happened, the police, it was really pretty much confirmed that it had been Jeffrey this whole time, and they were able to find only 1 fingerprint in the makeshift room at the abandoned Circuit City, and after running the fingerprint, they found it did belong to Jeffrey, the man who had escaped from prison only a few months before. I really don't know how he managed to only have 1 fingerprint there, but supposedly Jeffrey really liked Spider-Man. He had Spider-Man bed sheets and Spider-Man posters up and all of those things, so the police thought his makeshift room was rather odd, and he did have a lot of games and played quite a few games as well. Even though Jeffrey committed the robbery, he did not leave the Charlotte area right away and continued to live and stay there. Eventually, the police found that Jeffrey had been dating Lee after suspecting the Rooftop robber of committing this crime and sharing his photos with locals in the area. The police spoke to Lee, and she claimed she did not realize who Jeffrey was, as he had gone by the name John Zorn at church. Lee was not okay with Jeffrey lying to her and her children, and she worked with the police. Lee managed to convince Jeffrey to come visit her at home on January the 5th in the year 2005. Jeffrey went to Lee's house, where he was officially arrested for his crimes. Jeffrey was then sentenced to 40 years in prison, where he remains to this day. He is expected to be released from prison sometime in the year 2036. I don't know why this case freaks me out so much, but it truly, truly does. I always worry that someone